Hey everyone, greetings. It's Naomi Wolf, broadcasting from Salem, Massachusetts, where there have been many upheavals in the last few days. Crazy protests, Marxist art installations. We'll cover all of that another time. But this morning I've got with us Sam Anthony, founder of yournews.com. Welcome, Mr. Anthony.
Thank you for having me on the show, Naomi. Great to be here.
It's our pleasure. And I had a former life with in which we were colleagues. So for those who don't know Mr. Anthony's work, you can get real news from real people and you can get your news published. He is the owner, writer, and citizen journalist at Your News Media. And Your News is the first of its kind to offer national and local news with a large organization of local affiliates around the United States. And you can advertise, you can do press releases, post your local news, digital marketing, product marketing, social media marketing. It's really quite an amazing platform. And we used to sort of partner on it to get news about Daily Cloud out, because sadly, the last time we were working together, it was in an era when the main news wires like Presswire and all the, I think I have that name correct, maybe not, you can correct me. But basically the legacy news wires did not take our press releases because we were, on the naughty side of history. So times have changed, but why don't you catch us up, Mr. Anthony, on what's going on with yournews.com?
Sure. So yournews.com is a daily. So I'm like, I don't know who the daily paper is by you, but the Boston Globe, the Miami Herald, Chicago Tribune, they all look the same, right? Very similar. Yes. So when you log into our site, we geolocate you. So I know if you live in Miami or Phoenix or LA. So it's going to look like any news website. We just have massive scale. So we're in every city in the United States. We are a news content distribution platform. And we're an aggregator of information like every news organization on planet Earth. So what I mean by that is everybody knows people that have news that they want to share with the community, like you, will send a press release to the media, right? To the news organization. So if you're a nonprofit and you're having a bake sale because you're a church, you're going to send a press release to the media in your market. News organizations aggregate that information. They decide what they're going to air or publish. So what our platform is it's a news aggregation platform, but we have the ability to print it all because we can organize it by subject and geography. So Naomi, I can make a story appear in a city, a county, a market, which is defined by your TV DMAs, state, regional, or national.
Example. What's a DMA? I'm sorry.
Designated market area. So it's the TV, like, whatever you're watching on the local Fox, CBS, or ABC affiliate in your market is your television DMA. There's 210 of them across the United States. So, everybody knows New York's number 1, LA's number 2, Chicago's number 3. So there's 210 of those across the United States. And this is how the world works today. So we could distribute, to make it simple, somebody's Little League game is sports news for the city, but the high school football game is broader geography. It's sports news for the market. The Monday night football game is sports news for the country. So it runs to all zip codes. So because of our scale, the public can interact and submit their own content. Once approved, they get email notification with a direct link to their story, and then they share it on their social media pages. So that is a small portion of what we do, but basically the legacy media is going the way of the dinosaur. They're not going to survive. Everybody thinks it's because they're lying. Has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. It wouldn't matter if they were telling the truth. Naomi, did you see Adweek about a month and a half ago came out with the numbers from cable news? Now, you probably heard about it, but it was horrific. But the real numbers and the real news was the age demographic between 25 and 54.
They're not changing.
Oh my God. Listen to me. That number is 130 million people in the United States. Take a wild guess how many people were viewing in 3 months on every network total.
Every television network?
Every one of them. Okay, the whole thing.
The whole television. We're talking about television.
Yeah, we're talking Fox, CNN, ABC, NBC.
Okay, total.
3 months. So I'm not even giving it January.
3 months total, or the audience month by month?
No, 3 months.
30 million?
500,000.
Are you kidding me?
That's the problem. Let me tell you where they're getting it.
Are
TikTok.
you serious? Like, I have a broader reach than that on my socials.
Okay,
I have 4
remember,
times that reach on my
I
socials.
understand, but
God.
the 60 plus crowd is still watching it.
Right. Oh my
Okay.
God.
It's the younger generation. Okay. This is where they're screwed. I can't, this is, Naomi, if you take anything away from this conversation, you are the mainstream media. You guys are. What I'm doing is rolling you up under one umbrella and creating a revenue model that could generate billions a quarter, of which it gets dispersed to you guys.
Can you, wow. All right. So let's back up a little bit. You have persuaded me that legacy media is dying. So what, I mean, I'm sure you have feelers in the legacy media world. You're following Adweek and so on. What is the discourse within CBS, NBC, Fox News about the years ahead? What are they like? Are they reacting to these? They must be reacting to these numbers. What are they saying about it?
Well, when they start calling themselves the legacy media, you know there's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm going to give you another interesting fact. I've been in this business for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And doing what we were doing and trying to figure it all out. And now we're just the only players in our space here. So we're sitting in a prime position to.
And by in our space, do you mean, because you're not a television channel, you're a platform for press releases and local news that other people are creating. So what do you see as your space?
The space would be the media landscape, but I'm all three. I'm written, I'm audio, and I'm video. So we do all three, and it gets better. I have a monetization model like YouTube where content creators share in the ad revenue. So I
promise, Mr. Anthony, we're going to get to the details of yournews.com. But first, I want to step back and look at the big picture so people really understand what this means. I'm going to re-ask the question. How does Adweek, for instance, address the fact that people right up into their 50s are not watching television anymore? Meaning that whole revenue model for advertising is gone.
It's gone.
Leaving.
Yeah. So they addressed it as, here's what we reported, here's what we saw, and this is the numbers. The proof in the pudding is on LinkedIn Navigator, there's 500,000 people that are now calling themselves freelance journalists, which most of them are part of the, oh God, it's horrific, are part of the downsizing of the legacy media. There's almost 170,000 student journalists that, where are they going to get a job when they get out?
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, this is a whole massive collapse. And to be honest with you, Naomi, this is like the biggest opportunity I've ever seen for journalism.
Sure.
So here's what I will tell you. You guys are the new media. Oh, no question about it.
Right.
What I'm doing is, well, and we'll get into that, but for the opportunity for the younger generation, there's never been a paradigm in history where the old guard was part of the new. Let me explain. The people that were part of the horse and buggy didn't go to the automobile, and the people that were part of the telegraph never went to the telephone. It was all new people. So the old guard that all lost their jobs, they're never going to be able to transition to new media. Never, never, never. It's
as producers, but what about consumers?
No, consumers are different. So if the television network shut down, you don't have a choice, right? We have some time for that. But from the consumer
producers, you're saying, I don't mean to talk over you, I'm just trying to understand. You're saying the people who have been producing NBC, CBS, ABC are never going to, as those audiences shrink, they're never going to be able to produce independent media or transition to independent media. Is that what you're saying?
We have a guy named Frank Sarabino here at the Palm Beach Post. He just announced last month that he's retiring because the Palm Beach Post basically going to lay him off anyway. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to become some writer or some, he's a political writer. What'll happen is one of these younger kids, or it could be somebody that's proactive in the community, is going to take his place on an online platform, and the people are going to go to them for that information. That's what's going to happen.
But I mean, what about a platform like Substack, where kind of superannuated journalists or independent voices like Glenn Greenwald, who really don't fit into any paradigm now, right or left, are able to monetize by basically producing their own news site?
You're always going to have those types of platforms, but mine, we don't charge the consumer, and nobody's going to pay for the high school football game. And people still believe that their kid's Little League game is news. And if they want to submit that content,
duly understood. And it's fantastic, that part of your business model. I'm just saying, these are kind of apples and oranges. Like the old guard journalists do have one platform to go to monetize, right? So what was your argument about where they're going to go? You think most of them are just going to retire or not make a transition to being independent producers of media at all?
Most of them are going to retire or just get out of the business, go do something else. You're going to have some people that have content that has a broad scale that appeal, that are going to be on a Substack, but nobody that writes for, local high school sports is going to be a Substack because the audience is too minuscule for that.
I understand what you're saying. Wow. And where do all those young people who are still going to journalism school and still graduating, is their curriculum adjusting to this new landscape, and where do they expect to get jobs? Where are they being told they can get jobs?
Well, that one I don't know, but I've picked up 800 news reporters in the last 5 months. Okay, so these are people that are now, like, I market to them. We have videos they watch, and then what they do is they sign up and they become news reporters on our platform, and they start reporting local news all across the United States.
And how do they get paid?
They get paid just like YouTube. It's based on how many people see their content. Wow. So it's no different, the same thing.
Right. So you then sell, okay, this is making sense. You then sell their content probably automatically or through AI or digitally to advertisers who put ads on their content, and then they get a share of that.
Kind of. So think of it this way. You write a story about the high school football game anywhere. Doesn't matter. So that goes in my sports section in that market. We have advertisers that buy ads, and they tag the ads around the contents relevant to their product. So if you sell golf clubs, you're going to be around golf content. I just had somebody buy an ad, and they sell wine, but it's a conservative brand, and they want to be around conservative content, right? So it's all, if you sell pots and pans, you want to be around cooking shows. If you sell, American flags, you want to be around shows like yours.
So there's like a third party that does that for you, or AI does that for you? How is that filtering done?
So the ads come in self-service. They buy them themselves. We market to business owners.
Directly to human business owners. You have human sales people.
This is Facebook for news.
Okay, got it. Do you want to show us your screen, share your screen, and walk us through yournews.com? Is that possible?
Sure.
I don't need to put you on the spot.
Absolutely. I think that would be great. So let me see.
This is really interesting. So all those, wow, you may have really, I have to say, Mr. Anthony, the last time we were in touch, which was 2 or 3 years ago, I don't think your platform had evolved to this point. It was a simpler press release platform. It was still innovative, but you hadn't developed this business model, to my knowledge. This is very exciting. I've been really worrying about who's going to take over local news production and distribution, because can I just jump in with a sentence? The big corporations about 5 or 10 years ago started buying up local news brands and killing them, like Catch and Kill, Maine.com, and like all these local news sites got folded into digital sites, and then kind of the digital sites kind of got emasculated and turned into really commercial sites that weren't really about local news. So that's a huge void, and I thought it was kind of intentional to kind of solidify ideology and not have independent opinions and information on a localized level. But that's my view. So go ahead. Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. To make things worse, it's unlikely that your blood circulation will correct itself on its own. This means your health issues will not only continue to decline as you age, they could really become catastrophic. And taking ibuprofen isn't a solution to pain. It's only temporary relief, and it only masks the real problem, which is inflammation. So right now you can go to getkrill.com/dailyclout to learn more and get a special free shipping offer just for being a listener of our show. New research proves there's a potent deep sea supernutrient tucked away 73 miles off the Atlantic coast, which is the hidden key to improving your blood circulation in krill oil. Researchers are saying this Antarctic supernutrient is the key to your diet. And this is indeed omega-3 fatty acid, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill, a kind of fish. This omega-3 content from krill oil has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as to reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. Benefits go on and on. In fact, some report it outperforms name brand pain relievers, and they see results in as little as 7 days. It doesn't have the dangerous side effects that ibuprofen does. And better yet, for a short time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil at up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/dailyclout right now and take advantage of your special offer. You'll really feel better. Thank you so much. Mr. Anthony, what would you say to that?
I think you're correct. The reason we're in the mess we are today is because there's 6 companies that control the mainstream media, right? The end. That's all you need to know. And so everybody saw it. For those of you, you saw the Sinclair broadcasting where 50 TVs were saying the same thing at the same time. I mean, that's called centralized news.
Right.
In the 80s, there was over 500 independent news outlets.
Wow.
Like 70, 80 years ago, there was like 500 or 5,000 of them. Okay. I mean, they were just all independent reporting.
Right.
Well, all that stuff is going away. What's going to replace it is going to be a hyper-local news platform that empowers local voices, where you could have freedom of speech, where, there's a monetization model, and Joe's Pizza could buy an ad and target it to one zip code and everywhere in between. Right. So ultimately, at the end of the day, there's 2 things that I do. And remember the one, anything that decentralizing anything from the government is good. Okay. Yes, so I completely decentralized the news business, and I democratize who gets to say it. What we do is put the power to press back in the hands of the people. And by the way, the marketplace is going to decide what content they want to read or to view. And it's the same thing on YouTube. How many YouTube channels you've been to and you go, well, last posting was 3 years ago. You want to know why? They failed. They weren't good.
So let me just kind of jump in there with what you just said and say, I would gently push back. Like, the alternative to 6 channels distributing all your news isn't necessarily your solution. It's a fantastic alternative, but without your solution, the alternative is 1 channel distributing your news, or 2 channels, right? I mean, there are worse solutions if we don't create alternative models like yours. Isn't that correct? Like just continued centralization.
You do not want 6 or 1 company controlling the press. So, with us, the way it works is you're the person who submitting the article or the video. You're responsible for your own stuff, and the cream's going to rise to the top. So we're distribution.
Got it. And so would a critic or someone listening say, okay, so you're a censorship-free version of YouTube?
Well, broader and hyper local.
Right. Got it. Okay. Well, that's cool. I guess the other thing I would say there, everything you're describing is super necessary and innovative, and I'm all for it. My only concern, and it's not really your job to figure this out, is in the old model of newspapers, including local newspapers, but everyone, all the way from, the Bangor Daily News to the New York Times, they used to be funded by the ad pages, right? Cars and, employment ads. And then that went away with the internet, cars.com, indeed.com. And so they had to find another revenue model, but always sections like world news or even, op-ed were not profitable in and of themselves. People didn't really choose them. So the advertising flowed, like the revenue flowed to provide those as kind of a public service. But if the whole New York Times was disaggregated and running on your model, people they might choose what's going on locally, a movie that I can see, in my area, but they might not choose, I want to read the opinion pages, or I want to read what's happening in Syria. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. In our case, it's the content that drives the readership, because we're a social media news platform.
Right.
But the consumer decides what's of interest to them, and so what I do is I take somebody that writes for high school sports anywhere, your market, whatever, and then they write a story, but they have a social media following of people who like their stuff, whether it's 10 people or 10,000, it doesn't matter. They submit it, then they share it on their social media pages, and they come to me to consume it because that's their buddy. That's the person they like.
I love
And,
it.
and,
Yeah,
and
go
we
ahead.
sell the ads. That's it. It's
It's
easy.
beautiful. I love it. It's so great. So really, it's like YouTube, like Twitter, all merged together, like the ad pages of the New York Times or, local newspapers merged together. The difference being the monetization model is in the hands of the creator.
It's in the hands of the creator, but it's that all their content combined
Right.
that's going to attract an audience, which then attracts even more ad revenue.
Right. I understand. And also the shape of the publication is in the hand of the consumer.
Completely. They read what they want.
This is genius. This is so
Yeah.
smart. Are you growing?
Oh my God. I'm opening another country, Naomi.
That's amazing. What's your next country? Congratulations.
Canada. So there's one thing I'm doing now, and
Mhm.
that is for you guys. It'll be done in 2 weeks
Uh-huh.
before the end of the month. It'll be a follow button, but the follow button is not for a specific category. It could be. It's going
Right.
to be if somebody, let's say you have your content on my site and people want to follow Naomi Wolf. They just
Right.
click follow. Now, every time you post, let's say over time you have 10,000, 20,000 followers,
Right.
you post,
Right.
it immediately sends alert to them. They all come
Wow.
in to consume your stuff. You just made $500.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
thought
This
you
is
would.
fantastic. May I say, Mr. Anthony, I'm so impressed because this is a huge, like, quantum leap. Like what you were doing 3 or 4 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago was cool, but this is way beyond the last time I touched base with you technologically. So how did you make that journey? Did you hire a bunch of new technologists? Did you just get more feedback from users? Like, this is a big journey for your business.
It is. I will tell you it's been an evolution. So you had to figure it out. And what I thought it was 20 years ago changed today.
You
And
started this 20 years ago?
oh yeah, probably
Wow.
20. Yeah, 2001, right
Wow,
before.
you were ahead of the curve. You
Yeah,
saw
well,
which way things were going. I mean, the internet barely existed then.
it was right before 9/11, and then it wasn't even a site yet. We had to build it. So me and a couple guys believed the internet was going to be gone, so we had to set out to create something. We spent a lot of money. We failed trying to figure it all out,
Right,
but I picked up another partner, and then the trick was the local model. How do you get
right,
local news? So what I
right.
did was I built an affiliate network of independent broadcast stations across the United States that had news departments. Then you know what happened?
What?
The first people they lay off when things go bad are the news director and the stringers they've got. All of a sudden, they're all starting to drop off all around the same time. And they told me, you better get a new model because we're not going to be in business in another 10
Right.
years.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And that's when I'm laying in
And
bed
so,
and I'm
excuse me,
thinking,
Mr. Anthony, they knew that from looking at their audience demographics? Yeah.
yeah. One of the guys told me, he goes, Sam, do you listen to radio on the dial? I go, no, I have Sirius XM. He goes, I wouldn't listen to my own stations except I own them and I have to. He goes, nobody's listening anymore. We have the older demographic. The younger ones are going to be consuming it on here.
Right, it's
And
true.
that's just
Yeah,
how it works. So
right,
they'll be gone soon.
right.
Broadcast television, what'll really put the nail in the coffin is, you ever notice you see 70 or 75% of the advertising on Fox or any network TV stations is all the pharmaceutical ads?
Yes,
It's because the audience is the older crowd. I mean,
right,
so
right,
you got that 25 to 54, which doesn't need any pharmaceuticals, right?
right,
And
right,
then as they get older, this is kind of the need. We need
right,
senior living, and you see all these different ads as you get older. Well, the big demographic is that 25 to 54 because you're getting married, you got a job, you're buying a house, you have need diapers, the whole 9 yards.
Mhm,
And so the end of it is
mhm,
the obviously the older crowd, and the
mhm.
average person, I don't need to tell you, lives to be 76, 77, 70. Some people live 100, some people live to 30, but the
Right,
average is 77.
right.
So if the average age of people watching Fox, CNN, and ABC is 72 years old, do the math yourself.
Is that the average age of people watching Fox? And did you say NBC or CNBC?
All of them, cable news.
They're in their 70s?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I know. I thought it was like 55. I was so
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah, no,
Wow.
yeah. So that's why I keep trying to tell you what I do
Yeah.
is going to replace the legacy media.
No, you're preaching to the choir. I believe you. I guess
Mhm.
you're updating me. I haven't checked in on these numbers for quite a while. And, the last time I checked, I thought, okay, TV watchers are getting really old, but maybe they'll innovate and the next generation will come along, but they're not. So
I know.
it's a dying medium. You're right. It's a
It's
dying medium.
yeah. When was the last time you sent a telegraph, Naomi?
No, exactly. And I'm just thinking of my own media use. I literally never turn on a television set. Like, I don't know what's on TV unless I'm stuck in a hotel room.
That's my point. And
Yeah.
the younger generation is what you have to watch
Yeah.
because they're upping. What are they doing? My kid's going to be 30 next month. He doesn't own a TV.
No, why would he? Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding? How do you watch something? He goes, well, we have Netflix and
Yeah.
tablets.
Yeah.
Well, I have two grandkids. Well, how do they watch cartoons? On the tablet.
On the tablet, exactly. Yeah, why would they go to Cartoon Network? Yeah, there's no reason, and you have no choice, right? It's just what's there as opposed to what's on your tablet, which is what if you're like me and you're getting to that age at which your body sometimes just hurts all the time, please listen. Don't reach for another painkiller until you learn about this turmeric hack for pain and inflammation. You've probably already heard that turmeric is being used to fight inflammation and joint pain, but not all turmeric is created equal. Regular turmeric powder in your pantry will help you a little, but a leading pain doctor from Connecticut discovered a special turmeric extract that is 200 times more powerful than what you find in standard turmeric. And when he shared this turmeric secret with his patients, the results were extraordinary. This turmeric extract attacks pain at the source, turning it off like a light switch so that pain not only often goes away, but stays away. Dr. Josh, the brains behind it all, has spent 20 years helping hundreds of thousands of Americans finally break free from constant aches and stiffness. And his turmeric hack has been the backbone of their success. So don't engage, if you can avoid it, with expensive surgeries, pain injections, or inefficient over-the-counter medications with side effects. Greet pain-free living. It's incredible stuff. I started taking it regularly, and I really did notice a difference. Again, you can't just take any old turmeric. If you want to learn more about Dr. Josh's turmeric secret and the exact method for how to use it in your routine, go to goldenrevive.com/dailycloud. The link is right below this video in the description. Click on it and start your journey toward a pain-free, healthier life. Whatever you want.
You pick and choose.
Yeah, no, this is all making sense. I mean, I feel kind of stupid because it's so obvious, like, oh, duh, but you're really putting the pieces together. All right, well, let's go through a demo, if you will, of
I'll do it.
yournews.com.
So it says share screen to monitor. I'm just going to hit don't share screen. Tell me if you, oh, here, never mind. Okay, so it's coming up. So tell me if you see what I'm looking at.
All right. Yeah, I do. I mean,
Okay.
I do. I need to add it to the stage. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that looks cool. Know everything. That's a great.
Well, I know, isn't that?
Yeah,
Okay, know everything. So we're an aggregator. Once you've aggregated all the content, it's over.
Right,
You got all the
right,
readers.
right.
So our
Hey,
website.
this is very different from the last time I checked in on you. This is a completely different product almost, right?
Well, probably look at it looks like a news website,
Yeah, it
correct?
does totally look like a news website.
Okay. And so the difference is, like, if you want national news, pick
Mhm.
what you want. Okay.
Right.
If you want football,
Wow.
hockey, I mean, this is not rocket science,
Right.
but the only thing that makes me unique, and this is what makes it really valuable and scalable, is local. So I'm going to go to top stories. So in my
Right.
market, you're
Right.
going to see the lead story is a DeSantis story. DeSantis,
Right.
Florida drivers could legally flee rioters, even.
Right. But
Okay.
excuse me, where are those stories sourced from? Are they links from legacy media, or are they independent journalists writing that up?
So some of them are. I have an editor, and sometimes the editor will take these stories and feed them that are coming in,
Mhm.
and then we have literally 5,000 content creators. So
So a lot of these are made by independent journalists covering local Naples.
Yeah, like
news?
here, I don't know anybody in what's it called? 57101 is
Yeah.
Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay.
Yet I get local news from independent news reporters. Yankton
Mhm.
County welcomes first canine. What the hell would I
Wow,
know?
that's so cool.
Okay, I mean,
Oh
this
my
is
gosh, this really is local news.
here, June 15th. What's
Jury
today?
selection. Wow, flooding. That is amazing.
I got LA, Chicago, 60601. I mean,
Oh my
all over the
God.
United States, and we're building, and I'll show you where we get all this stuff
This is
from.
amazing. Now, this is fabulous. Let me just ask you, and you've got filters like family friendly. That's amazing.
Oh,
Let me just ask,
for events.
how do you
Yeah.
do quality control? Like, how do you keep, people, well, I guess you've got an editor, but does that editor read every single story that all these
So
5,000 journalists are submitting?
so what happens is content comes in here
Okay.
as pending. So you see
Right. Yeah.
Tommy Gabriel, Derek
Yeah.
Vance. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, this guy Derek, I just want to show you this.
Uh-huh.
This is not a political website, even though we have political news.
Right.
This is very broad in scope. So I'm going to share this tab. This is
Yeah.
national news auto racing. Derek is like you,
Okay.
Derek, but for auto racing. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
So Shane, whatever this dominates Mexico City. I'm looking for one.
Right.
Make sure it's a Derek one here.
Right.
Derek
I get it.
writes these stories,
Right.
and then he does a podcast. So he actually produces the content.
Right.
You see this Derek
Right.
Vance
Right.
here?
Right. Yeah.
This is his author page.
Got it. Got it.
And
Okay.
everything he's ever submitted is right here.
I
So
understand. But I guess what I'm asking is,
hmm,
if he submitted gibberish, what's your editorial flow to keep that from being published?
we look at it if it's like pornography or like when somebody submits an article, it doesn't go live. Somebody looks at it not to make sure it's factual, because how could we know what happened at the city council meeting in Schaumburg, Illinois?
Right.
The public will let us know.
Right.
But when he submits it, we look at it just to make sure there's nothing bad. And then
Okay.
we distribute the content right here based on geographical relevance. Remember, I told you we're set up by TV DMAs?
Oh my gosh, this is
Here.
amazing. Oh my
You're up
gosh,
over
this
here
is
somewhere,
happening.
aren't you? Aren't you over here?
I'm no, I'm right now. Well, yes, I am. I'm in Salem, Massachusetts right now.
Salem, Mass. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're going to be where
So
the
I'm
hell's
01970, not to.
Yes. So would it be the Boston market?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so the way our system works,
Mhm.
here's your markets. If I want something to go to Boston,
Yeah.
right there, Boston, Manchester, which means it would appear in all of this blue.
Wow.
Okay? That would be like
Amazing.
the high school football game.
Right.
If I wanted something to be more granular, let's
Now, when you
say,
say do you mean as a content producer or as an editor?
well, like as an editor, like I'm showing you how this all works. So let's say Governor DeSantis signs bill into law. Nobody cares in Boston, okay,
Right,
or
right,
Massachusetts. Do you
right.
see all these zip codes?
Yes.
I hit add. It gets assigned to the state. Then
Okay.
I put it in politics, and then it distributes to every zip code across the state, which is cool, isn't it? Okay.
Unbelievable.
Watch this
Wait,
now.
hold on, Mr. Anthony.
Yeah.
Does that also mean that local Massachusetts advertisers are getting served the content so they can choose what they're going to put?
I'll show you.
All right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So this is Palm Beach County. So
Right.
if I just want the article or the ad to go to Palm Beach County, I hit
Right.
add. And then in Florida, right, but we could change this, doesn't matter.
All right.
But I could drill down to one city.
Mhm.
So if it's somebody's little league game, it's going to be sports news for just Boca Raton. If it's a city council meeting, it's politics. Now, your question, advertisers, I made them bigger. Watch this. Advertisers can actually remove zip codes. See what I'm doing?
God.
I could make, so you want to talk about scale. I can make an ad appear in 33431 only around a specific type of content. Let's say you're an ice cream parlor, after the games, you take the kids for ice cream, right?
Yeah.
I can put it right there. And that's where that ad will appear. And it doesn't matter, any state. The point is you see how this works.
Yes, yes.
It's mega scale. And then what you should know, which I'm going to show you, is I'm going to share this tab right here.
Right.
I'm going to go to multimedia, your news videos.
Right.
All these are political podcasts. Cowboy Logic. Okay,
Oh,
Flag.
yeah. I recognize some of these.
What is this? The importance of journalism. That is probably audio. I think it's me, actually. But see, it's after dark.
Right.
So he writes an article, but this is an embed code. But this is total audio. Video codes would be, Cowboy Logic right here.
Right.
So here's the video.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is Real America's Voice. We sell all these ads. They get a piece of the ad revenue. This is not rocket science.
Oh my gosh.
You hit
What
play.
percentage
Wall
of
Street's
the
shaking because Trump just found
Let
150.
me get out of that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. What percentage of the ad buy do contributors get?
20%. Let me stop sharing. I think you do it right here so I can
That's
see.
fair.
Okay,
That's more
now
than an affiliate fee typically.
now let
That's
me tell you where the money's at, because I remember I was over at the Sorbo's house one day and Kevin's like, how do you expect to get these big advertisers to advertise around the conservative content? I said,
right,
Kevin, I could care less. The
right.
money's not in the national. Do you know how much I get for an ad? I get a penny, a freaking penny.
Right.
So if you have 10 ads around a story, you make a whopping 10 cents.
Right.
100 million. I had 100 million articles read last year. 104 million.
Are
was the
you
number.
serious
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah. So, want to know why? Because I have 800 news reporters covering local news. I have 4,000 PR firms and nonprofits submitting content. And I'm going to amp that up. I'm going to tell you, mark my words, this year, Naomi, by the end of the year, I'll have 5,000 paid news reporters on staff.
Why aren't you the biggest story in like
Oh,
alternative and legacy
it's
media?
coming. It's coming.
No, but like I have not heard this, and I would, like this is big news.
Oh, I know. And then, by the way, just so you know, I'm not full of it. Not that you thought I was. I'm going to share something with you. I'll get it up first so you could see. But
I mean, Mr. Anthony, don't you
yes.
think what you're doing is kind of underreported? Like, why aren't huge alternative media sites or legacy news sites covering what you're doing? Like they cover Telegram and they cover, Getter and they cover Truth Social. This is kind of big
We're
news.
coming in under the radar.
Why
So
intentionally?
intentionally. So what'll happen is there's going to be no way I could come under the radar once you get too big. Then what they're going to do is they're going to start slamming us, and they're going to tell the public that this is what's going to screw up America and democracy is going to be gone because of a free speech platform.
But you're not doing anything. You're so neutral. You're not.
No, I allow both sides to be heard. The thing is, we don't get any liberal content. And the reason we don't is because they will not put their content around content that makes sense.
I know.
That's the reason.
I face the same problem as an editor. I'm like, I just want to be nonpartisan. We've done all these things critical of climate change. Can someone please submit something, supportive of the science of climate change? Like, no, we don't want to be on your site because you publish those people. It's like, that's not how you have a debate. It's terrible.
I'm going to share one more thing with you because you saw it already, but this is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right. And look at what I typed in. Do you see freelance journalist?
Oh, wait, let me add it to the stage. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to make it bigger so everybody can see it.
Okay.
All right, so hold on. It went, let me see if I get smaller. So here's the freelance journalist, but it's actually for the US only.
All
okay.
Right.
You see it says United States.
Yes.
Look to the right.
What am I looking at? Sales Navigator. This is people who are looking for work.
LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn. Okay.
But what category? People looking for work. You're looking to hire them. What is this category?
This is people that identify as freelance journalists.
Okay, gotcha. 500,000.
Okay, 490,000 people in the United States.
Almost 500,000. So that's like one person in 600 is a freelance journalist. Is that the bottom line?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts. And I,
let
me see if I can hit my back, but it keeps opening up new ones. And then, I get out of this here. Let me stop sharing. And then the student journalists that are 170,000, those are your future right there. They're passionate. But here's the beauty.
Yeah.
On YouTube, anybody could be a broadcaster. Like Naomi, you were probably on YouTube and you probably got booted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, like everybody else. Okay. Yeah. So have you ever worked for CNN or ABC or NBC or as a broadcaster or anything?
Not as a broadcaster, just as a guest.
Yeah. Okay. So all of a sudden you now have your own show and the cream rises to the top because we have technology today. Anybody can get on YouTube or Rumble, create a show. And if they're good, they're going to succeed. And if they're not, they won't. All we have is technology, Naomi, which allows everybody to be a local news reporter.
Right.
And I could take a soccer mom in your market, Salem, Mass, and she's already at the city council meeting. She's already at the school board meeting. She's already at the soccer games. Right. Why not report on it and share it with the community?
Totally. No, I'm thoroughly persuaded. I'm just trying to figure out the editorial flow because it's something that's bedeviled us, right? It's very difficult and very labor intensive to produce quality content, feed the beast. And we're not covering the whole United States at a local level, which is even more labor intensive. So I guess, again, my question to you is, does one editor reads all that local content, or they just, like, if there's what if it in the middle of it says, F the Jews, like, or, F the N word, like,
I'm
how
with
do
you.
you make sure it's good, that it's grammatical, that it's quality? Otherwise, no one will follow your site. Do you see what I mean?
I do. And so normally what happens is when somebody fills out the application, become a citizen journalist, at the bottom of the page, somebody looks at it to make sure this person is not a nut job. They have to put in their information, their X account, their LinkedIn account, so we can see who it is. 99% of them are people that are already doing something media related.
Okay, so you filter on the
Yeah.
incoming side to make sure
Yeah.
these are real journalists who can
Yeah.
spell it.
And they're just looking for opportunity and a place to call home, kind of like when you got kicked off of YouTube and Rumble
Right.
filled that void, same
Right.
thing. So we're
Wow.
filling a void. So when they submit the articles,
Mhm.
so we get there's still the 80-20 rule, same as YouTube,
Right.
right? Where you get, 20% of the people doing 80% of the work, right?
Right.
But you still get the ancillary stuff. So I get around 200 or 300 news stories a day, which you may think is not a lot of stories, but it's a
It's a
decent
lot.
amount.
Yeah.
What'll happen is by the end of the year, I'll probably get around 1,000 or 2,000 a day. So this is where your business starts to grow. And this is where, we're doing an equity crowd fund, which, by the way, just so you know what my background is, it's investment banking. It's capital raising. Well, I don't know what I do for a living. It's not this. I got capital raising. But the problem we're facing is the reason we're in the mess we're in is because you have 6 institutional players that control the legacy media.
Yeah.
So when I went to one of these Reawaken America tours, you were probably there in Miami. No, you weren't there. Well, I looked around, there were 5,000 people there, and I went, these are the people that need to own my product, not the institutions. And I have relationships with people who have institutions, who private equity, because that's the business I'm in.
Right.
So this is where I decided to do what do they call an equity crowdfund? I don't know if you know what it is, but it's the same thing as Angel Studios does, where you're allowed to sell to the public and they can buy stock. But all of the stock is being distributed to we the people, not to the institution. So I don't allow institutions to participate in this.
I mean, don't you have to be an institutional investor or an accredited investor to invest in a company like yours?
You would.
Hey everyone, it's Naomi Wolf of Daily Clout. Have you ever wondered why your brain can feel foggy even when you're eating clean and exercising? It might not be burnout, it could be parasites. Groundbreaking research from Dr. Alan McDonald reveals a direct link between chronic parasite infections and neurological diseases such as multiple sclerosis. Parasites can cause inflammation, nerve damage, and long-term cognitive decline. More reason to do a full body cleanse at least once a year. The Wellness Company has a solution for you, ivermectin and mebendazole, the gold standard parasite solution, now combined in one cleanse combo, designed to eliminate harmful invaders and support your immune system naturally. Medical grade, not some trendy herbal gimmick. Fill out a quick intake form and you'll get a 3-month supply shipped straight to your door. MAHA is officially here, and the Wellness Company is making hard to get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Head to dailyclout.health and use code dailyclout to save $60 off plus free shipping on all orders. Cleanse your body today. Get rid of parasites today. Thank you.
But you would think, and this is why, you've never got a call from Silicon Valley going, hey, Naomi, we have $1 Facebook stock before it goes public. Do you want some? That all went to the rich people. Well, there's something called an equity crowd fund. And equity crowd funds are owned by broker dealers, so they're regulated. And it allows everybody to participate, but you can only put in so much money a year based on your income. The guy that makes $1 million a year could spend more than somebody who makes 10 grand a year, right? I mean, I think the limit is $2,500 or something like that. And so now it allows the public. So rather than Like I'd rather get 5,000 people to give me $1,000 if I was raising 5 million than one guy to give me 5 million, because who am I beholden to?
Right.
So
Right.
it
So
disperses it.
are you doing an equity round? Well, first let me ask, how did you fund your growth up until this point? Did you have seed funding or friends and family, or how did you do it?
No, it was me and my partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you've grown and you need an equity round to grow further. I mean, what's the business model here?
In order to scale this thing out, like any company, you know, I always use Amazon. You know, they sold their first book, somebody bought it, right? And so sure, they got all excited. Said that Jeff said, "Yeah, ship it out." And then you got 5 or 6 more next day, and then one day they woke up and there was 13,000 of them, and the guy goes, "I can't ship 13,000 books. We need help." So with me, the more content, you remember those 500,000 people on LinkedIn?
Yes.
I guarantee you, if I market to all of them, I'll get 200,000 or 300,000 signed up over the next few months. Okay.
Sure.
Now, will they all stay? No. Will you keep 20% of them? Yeah, it's a massive number. You're talking about, 50,000 news reporters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need to have the proper capital to be able to scale and support what you're doing.
Right.
And so I'm not doing it the old way. Remember the decentralization thing?
Yeah.
Equity crowdfunds decentralized Silicon Valley.
So that's cool. So how much do you need to raise in order to, what's your capital raise this round?
I'm doing, this one's 1.2 and we've raised 350. I want to get it done relatively quickly. And then the next one I'm going to do is going to be a 5, but it'll be at least 5 times the valuation. So this one's a 20 million. I'm jumping to 100. Right. And then the next one is either going to be an IPO or
this is a 20 million valuation.
Yeah, 20 million.
And who gave you the valuation?
Well, valuations are usually based on what other digital properties are doing that have the same scale. So like Facebook would be the closest thing to me. This would be my Series A round. Look, last year I did 124,000 in sales without even trying. Okay. So we have revenues. We're already in forward motion. And this digital property is worth more with 5,000 news reporters than it is with 5, right? Just like it'd be worth more with 50,000. So Facebook and me, from the standpoint of scale, are the same, meaning they sell ads around user-generated content. They could do it to one zip code. It's just different content. But scalability, their Series A round, they were at 98 million. So call it 100 million. We're in our Series A round and I'm 20 million. I'm like way lower, but I'm doing a small amount. The next one I do is going to be 100. I'm going to do a small amount.
100, a valuation of 100 million or a raise of 100 million?
No, valuation of 100 million. I'll do 5 million. I keep things mean and lean. And then the next run we'll do at a much higher number. It'll either be a public offering or we may do the 75. When you do equity crowdfunds, you could do a 1 to 5 or a 75. And you could do them in any order. The 75 we may do. What I'm trying to do, Naomi, is keep the freaking institutions out. That's what I'm trying to do.
Very well. Okay. Silicon Valley would ruin all of this immediately.
They would destroy it. And I'm going to tell you, all you got to do is, you'd have heard of Public Square, Michael Seifert, you might have had him on your show. Go look up Public Square with the institutional money. It's all BlackRock and Vanguard. It's just the way it is. Nobody wants to hear it. Go look up Rumble, all BlackRock and Vanguard. Type in.
Really?
Yes. You can't stop them. The only way to stop them is to not let them in. So what I'm doing is I'm going to We the People and giving them all the cheap stock. I already have the exit built in. I have a guy that is part of my company that has taken 4 of his own companies public and 13 others, 17.
Wow.
All right.
So explain to people, just for people who are new to this lingo we're throwing around, could you please explain what a seed round, Series A, et cetera, what that journey is, and then explain what an exit is, so people who are listening can understand kind of where their money is going if they decide to invest.
A seed round is, hey, Naomi, I have an idea. It's on paper, and this idea is going to revolutionize this. And you're like, ooh, let's put some money in that and let's see where we could get it, right? A Series A round is totally different. Okay, Series A round is, you already have proof of concept, you're already in motion, the train's already left the station, you already have revenues, and now let's take it to another level. So like, none of the money I need is to figure out a business. I'm already in the process of opening up Canada for the next country. Then I could do, the UK, which is 5 countries all at once with zip code tables. So it's this stuff, when look, Amazon took over $1 billion. Facebook raised over $1 billion in order to get done. Anytime you're dealing with stuff that has that kind of scale, it costs big money to scale these globally. The US we could do for much cheaper. But when you're starting to talk about 190 other countries, you're talking mega giant and huge money. But I can assure you this, there's no digital platform that's local. All of them are global. Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Uber, eBay, they're all global.
Well, Patch claims to be local.
Well, not that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is Facebook wouldn't work if it was just for one city.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Scale, right?
Right.
Everybody's global. So the future of news, if you had to place a bet, because remember, the barrier to entry to open up a country is just zip code table. Free. You don't even pay for them. So the future of news will most likely be a global media giant by zip code with a social component where the public can interact and share in the narrative in any country, a monetization model where journalists could share in the ad revenue in a self-service ad platform where somebody could buy an ad to one zip code and everywhere in between.
Unbelievable pitch you just in one sentence. That's an unbelievable sentence you just spoke.
It's coming, and I'm coming.
No, okay. But you figured out what was broken in news. That's really amazing, and in kind of for journalists as well. Well, so then say what an exit is. So what you're doing right now is you're raising from people rather than from institutional investors or Silicon Valley, $1.2 million, so you can grow further, hire staff, et cetera. The next raise will be $5 million, and your valuation currently is $20 million. You're anticipating your next valuation will be $100 million. So sorry, but that's dramatic growth. But I hear you. Valuations are kind of subjective, and you're clearly showing traction, right?
You want to know why, Naomi? Once I finish the $1.2 million, I've got at least 2 years plus. If I don't ever sell an ad, if I don't ever raise a nickel, and at the end of 2 years, I will have at least 50,000 plus news reporters. What I'm getting at is the train's left. You're either going to have to jump or buy. That's what I mean. It's gone. So the cheap stuff goes in this round. The next stuff's going to be a little more expensive. By the way, do you have any idea what the market cap is on Rumble? Do you know what it is? And do you know what that is?
It's massive. What is it?
It's $3 billion, but market cap for the audience is the amount of shares there are times the price. It's very simple. That's what the public determines. You heard about Rumble in 2020. Did you know they started in 2013?
I did not.
Okay. Did you know from the investment side, name one company that could ever replace an Amazon or a Google? It can't be done. Let me tell you why they exist, because they wouldn't even be in business. And I've talked to them about this. YouTube kicked off a small amount of people like you who are telling the truth, right? It wasn't most people. It was hardly, in the scheme of things, they have 114 million users. What did they kick off? 20,000? Rumble filled the void. And now Rumble has 200,000 content creators on it, and they have a market cap of $3 billion. It bounces between 2 and 4.
Right.
If YouTube decides to not become woke, and they're going to accept everybody back, they'll still hate, you'll still hate them, but you'll go because they have all the traffic and all the ad revenue, and your revenues will jump through the roof. They're not going to do it. I'm just telling you that it would put Rumble out of business.
Right.
I am YouTube. There is nobody else. You understand that, right? You're talking about a freaking monopoly here.
Yeah.
And it's something that's so powerful, I shouldn't even own it. It should be owned by the people. And that's why I'm doing it.
So if people invest in this round, and you've given quite a dramatic pitch, people are probably listening excitedly. What do they get? How can they be protected against, scams? Basically, how do they know what assurance? I mean, there's always risk in investing, but what assurances do they have if they want to get out that they can? And then what is your exit?
When you're dealing with an equity crowd fund, it goes through a brokerage firm. For any of you that have ever went through this, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Most people haven't. Try getting a deal done through a brokerage firm. We're talking audits, background checks. I mean, it took at least 8 months to complete this. You're dealing with lawyers. There's no brokerage firm on planet Earth that is going to take a deal that has anything tainted because they're afraid of backlash.
Sure.
So they have to like your deal, number one.
So
we have
your brochure, go ahead.
Yeah. So the answer to your question is, from the scam point, the brokerage firm wouldn't take it if it was a scam, number one.
Right.
Number two, the next step, what people have to figure out when they read it is, once they go to our equity crowdfund page and they read about it, they could form their own conclusion. Is there a market here?
Right.
And do they have a good model? And
Right.
if you believe it, here's the beauty. Somebody could put in $200. They could put in $500.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, it's so cheap. Anybody can play. I want distribution.
And what do they get? Like, do they get a stock certificate in the mail?
Well, initially, the money goes into escrow we use Issuance Express, which is owned by North Capital Partners. Mm-hmm. So the money goes into escrow. When I clear escrow, they have to fill out a subscription agreement. The subscription agreement automatically gets signed and sent to them. That's what they hold on to. Once we get ready to go public, they will be issued certificates. Okay. So it's a process. So now there's two ways to get out of this. One is through a private sale, and the other one is through a public offering.
And that's what an exit means. It means that's
an exit.
The company. What do you get?
I'm not going to rule out a private sale, but it's highly unlikely. And the reason I say that is not because you're not going to get an offer, but I just don't believe that one person should own this. I think it should be distributed to the people, number one. I had this conversation the other day with Sarah Westall. I was like, Sarah, because she says, we've been screwed. So I go, Sarah, even if I was going to screw everybody, I'm going to do it in the way that I make the most money. The public market will pay you 40 to 50 times more than a private sale. Okay. So it's going public whether you like it or not. That's what I told her. I said, so that's the route you want, because now everybody can buy it.
Right. I get it. So you expect to do an IPO?
Yeah. And I expect that in 2 years or less.
Wow. All right. And does your M&A firm also expect an IPO in 2 years or less?
Well, yes. Like the gentleman I hired that does this. Yeah. He actually wants it quicker. He wants the next round to be through a brokerage firm. And I said, oh my God, that's awesome. He goes, I have a brokerage firm to do our next round. It could be 75 million. Here's the issue, Naomi. It's all going to be institutional money. I didn't say no, but I couldn't tell him no because he go, what are you, crazy?
Yeah.
I just feel like we need horsepower behind this so we can eliminate the private equity firms and all the different institutional players that get involved with this, because they'll end up taking it over.
Right. I understand, of course. So basically what people should know when they're listening, and there are no guarantees in investment, is that this is a cheaper round to invest in than future rounds if Sam continues to be profitable or to gain traction, and that there's a strong possibility, there are no guarantees, that he could end with an IPO, a public offering, which would make your shares very, very valuable. There is also the possibility that none of this will work out. I'm just trying to be, honorable, because a lot of people listening are not experienced investors, and you could lose what you put in, but it's a really interesting bet. So I can't endorse it, but I'm listening to the variables, and I'm thinking, wow, that's intriguing, right? I'm sure people are going to want to find out more.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the other side. You could be a reader. We want, the reason I do these shows, I want people to know we exist. Number one,
right.
We have content that you guys are looking for. Number one. Number two, what if you want to be a news reporter? Well, you go to yournews.com, go to the bottom, and you click the Become a Citizen Journalist, fill out the application. You can become a news reporter. Down at the bottom, same line that says invest. It'll take you to a place called Issuance Express, which is our equity crowdfund. Some people use other ones. It's just one we're using. And you could read all about what we're doing. And if you like it, you could spend $200 or anywhere in between. What I'm interested in is,
excuse me, what's the most someone can invest? $2,500?
No, you could do the whole thing as long as you have an income that will support it.
I see. Okay. So you have to submit documentation of your income.
You do. Yeah. No, this is run through a brokerage firm. And like, if you put in that you make 200 grand a year, it'll never let you do it. You won't even do it. No, I had one guy put in a lot of money, put in 50, just out of the blue, but he's probably got a net worth of 10 or 20 million.
I see. Okay. So there's no limit to how much you can invest, but there's a limit that it has to be a certain percentage of your income. Is that the bottom line?
Yes. And that's what I love, because you hear all these stories about somebody,
losing
telling,
everything. Yeah,
yeah, because they mortgage the house. It'll never let it happen. They won't. They won't. You can't get the past them. It won't
right,
work.
right. Yeah, I mean, I usually don't like paternalistic regulations, but that actually makes sense for
It's
inexperienced
actually good.
investors to keep them from betting their life savings, the way they used to do in Britain in the 19th century with the railroad shares. It's like a take everything. I'm ruined. But okay. So what we've run out of time, unfortunately, Mr. Anthony. This has been so fascinating. What can people do immediately? And it sounds like there are three options: be a reader, a subscriber, be a journalist, and be an investor. Is that correct? Is there anything
That's
I'm
it.
missing?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just happy to be on your show, Naomi. I wanted to talk to you, and so I was glad when Allison booked me on your show. But yeah, honestly, at the end of the day,
Mhm,
what we do, whether it's me or somebody else, will
mhm.
replace. There is nobody else, but will replace the legacy media. But
Love it.
more importantly, do
Mhm.
you have any idea what kind of revenues you guys could make off of this once it's completed?
Well, we're definitely going to have a conversation offline about that because it sounds like we're very aligned in our,
Yes.
we've got a lot of Venn diagrams here in terms of what we're producing and our business model. And also, I want to talk to you about our legislative software because all those local news sites need to know about local laws as well. And that's something we can provide to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, super fascinating, very exciting. I just want to say personally, this is really a landmark conversation. I mean, I'll look more carefully at your site. I haven't looked at it for a little while, but this need you filled, if you really have filled it, and it sounds like you've got momentum and traction, and people are signing on as journalists and as readers and as investors. I'm so excited because that's the difference between having a democracy and not having a democracy. And as you know, and I know because we're in parallel lines of business with similar missions, there are 132 democracies in the world, and all of them need local news. People in Britain need to not just be stuck with the Telegraph and the BBC lying to them, government talking points, hiding truth tellers. They need to be able to know what's going on in their local community and be able to have independent journalists who aren't subject to the same kind of censorship, pardon me, be able to post stories. It's really, a democracy saving initiative, a life saving initiative. And I agree with, I mean, really, literally life saving because of the kind of information people can get. And I really also want to say, I'm excited that you're trying to keep it out of the hands of BlackRock and Vanguard because they will catch and kill, or they will censor, or they'll do all their bad things. And we really have an opportunity, it sounds like, to build a major, global news site as a community that is responsive to a community and that actually protects free speech. So I'm super excited to talk to you. Any final words? Where do people find you? Where do they find yournews.com?
Yeah, no, Naomi, I think I pretty much spelled it out. I mean, yournews.com is our platform, and everything's down at the bottom if you're interested in becoming a citizen journalist or want to find out more about the investment side.
Great.
But it's really, this whole thing is really just about making sure that the past doesn't happen again, right? So
Right.
this, I never thought I would ever say this because remember, I have a partner that's been telling me the media has been lying for years, and
Right.
I just never bought it. I'm like, why would they lie? Until 2016 when Trump won, and I went, oh my God, I am an idiot. Okay, I mean, like, how do you not see this now? And so the reason we're in the mess we're in today is absolutely because of the press, because they haven't reported on anything that's factual. They're actually lying to the American public. And quite frankly, it's disgusting. So you need to have it. Look, all that's going to happen is you're going to have all new citizen journalists, we the people. And, I know we're almost done, but I just got to tell you this 10-second story.
Sure.
Charlie Simons calls me up. He had some woman on, Christy Grab. He asked me to come on. She found corruption in California government. Shocking.
Yeah.
She found all the statutes of what they were doing wrong. She brought it to him, to the boss, and said, look, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you're breaking laws here. So can you want to just reverse this stuff? He goes, no, ignore it. We're good. So she took it to the media thinking, oh my God, they're just going to destroy him. Media goes, thanks, we're not interested in shedding light on this.
Yeah.
She signed up as a citizen journalist. Now she's reporting. I mean, now the people have to actually report the crimes because the media is complicit.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I've seen that journey so many times. Well, thank God they've got somewhere to go. Yournews.com. Sam Anthony, thank you so much for everything you're doing. I'm sure this audience will keep following you, and everyone go check out yournews.com, whether you want to be a reader, a journalist, an investor, or any combination. Thank you so much, Mr. Anthony. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.